So if we become aware that the mind has drifted off, it's become distracted, then before returning to the meditation object, we recognize the distraction as a distraction. We observe the small pleasant feeling that accompanies the distraction, because it's that pleasant feeling which is the hook. It's not so much the content of the thought, of the memory. It's the pleasant feeling that it provides which keeps us attached to it. Recognizing that this is a endless and pointless pursuit of small temporary pleasures which has no true resolution. Never will it lead to any sense of completion or peace. That sense of completion and peace can only be found by letting go of identification with all impermanent phenomena. So part of the meditation practice is learning how to encourage ourselves when the mind becomes dull or bored or starts to doubt, how to calm the mind when it becomes agitated. So in one way of talking about this is to say that we're learning basic management skills. We're learning to manage the unwholesome dhammas, to apply ourselves to the meditation object in such a way that the mind is happy and contented and doesn't want to seek for distractions. But that's not always possible. And when the mind does become distracted and wanders off into memory, imagination, then we realize and we recognize what's going on. And so we should return to the meditation object as a choice. And we prefer the meditation object to the distraction. We recognize that the distraction leads nowhere. Whereas the Dhamma is opanayiko, it leads onwards, it leads inwards. there is an end, there is a conclusion to the Dhamma, which is not to be found in the realms of memory and imagination. And also learning how to introduce into the mind, how to encourage and cultivate this beautiful and wholesome mental states of mindfulness, of clear comprehension, of contentment, of clarity of mind, of joy, bliss. These mental states start to flourish through practice of Dhamma. Chanta, the love and enthusiasm for the good and the true. Patience, forbearance. Through this simple practice of applying our mind to an object and dealing with all that occurs as a result of that effort, we learn how to develop all of the beautiful Dhammas. But to begin with, those beautiful and wholesome mental states are not stable, they easily fall away. So we're learning how to stabilize them and not to make an identity out of the wholesome, beautiful mental states either. They are sankharas, they are conditions. They arise, they pass away, they're not self. But they are the beautiful Dhammas and the Dhammas that lead onwards to liberation. So when we recollect, we bring to mind all the great arahants and the great enlightened masters, great monks and nuns, laymen, laywomen, who have realized the Dhamma. We have to remind ourselves that the goodness and the peace and the wisdom and the compassion that we find so inspiring in those great practitioners, all of those qualities can grow and flourish in our own hearts if we practice truly and constantly according to the Buddha's teachings. Simply being born as a human being means that we have that kind of potential. Our minds can be vessels of all that is good and noble. And that is why it's worth putting up with the difficulties and the frustrations and the aches and the pains. Because when we look at the overall, the big picture, we see that it really is worth it. And we read the biographies of great practitioners who have gone through so much struggle, put forth so much effort. I'm not aware of any one of these great figures, having realized the Dhamma, should regret all the hard work that they put in, feel disappointed, say it wasn't worth it. Quite the opposite. Just so far exceeds every expectation. So this whole practice is working with what we have. Everyone's raw materials not quite the same as anyone else's. Strong points or weak points, things that we find particularly challenging, the things we find rather easy. These are what we have to work with. We can't compare ourselves with anyone else. We've all been working on this before this lifetime. If not, we wouldn't have the great good fortune of being born as human beings in a Buddhist culture, or having the opportunity to study and practice the Dhamma like this. So we have no idea how much work we've already put in, and how much more work there is to do. But if we take joy and a wholesome pride in the practice itself, then we don't have to wait until we reach the end of the path before we can experience true happiness. We can find this joy in treading every step of the path. Because this path of Dhamma, teachings that the Buddha left for future generations, it's through the practice of these teachings that we can truly fulfill ourselves as human beings.